Hey, what's up? It's Jason. I'm back again with another video, and not just any video, but the metal tag for 2026 video response. Of course, brought to you by the Heavy Metallurgy. Marty and Alan bringing us the metal tag again this year. I think they've done it the last couple years. Originally, it was by the Rock Scout over in the UK, but he's been taking a break. So Marty and Alan have picked up the torch. I'm going to try my best here. 20 questions. You know how these tags go. This is actually my first tag for 2026. So all honors are due to the guys creating the metal one, as it's the first one I'm jumping on. But there's some other ones I probably should get around to doing soon enough. So I'll just jump into this thing because it's quite a few things to show for the metal tag. I'm playing some tracks in the background. Hopefully it's not interrupting the audio too much, but we'll get into some of that. First up, the year, it is now the year of the horse for the Chinese New Year, and so they want us to show a record with a horse on the cover, so I pulled this one. This is a heavy duty repress here of Thou's second album, Peasant. Thou is doomy sludge from down south, from Louisiana. I had never actually heard of them until we were down in Louisiana. We went down for a visit to New Orleans a couple years back and visited a little shop called Sisters in Christ, which I totally recommend. Super underground store with lots of vinyl, of course, used books, other miscellanea, some witchcraft stuff probably. Cool ass shop. The owner was like super nice. He's also turns out to be a member of Thou. I think he might have been the vocalist. I'm not sure, but anyway, he gifted me this. I bought a whole bunch of stuff, of course. That being said, this thing is like a tome. It's like very heavy. It's their second album repressed, but also I think with some bonus stuff too, like a bonus single. And it's a little bit raw. It's their earlier days, 2008 originally put out. This is a 2017 reissue. I think their sound has kind of evolved over the years, but I haven't really followed up on some of their other releases. I think they're also kind of known for being a little avant-garde and experimental with their metal, even pushing the envelope. And I think at one point they also did a whole series of covers of Nirvana, but like Doom Sludge version. I'm not sure. I gotta look that up. But that is my number one. Number two is Nostalgia. A couple records, or a record anyway, that you can't seem to get rid of out of your collection, but you're still hanging on to it. You don't think it's very good, but you can't bring yourself to get rid of it. Well, it's probably because I like this band, especially like the early days of this band. Mostly only the early days with the first singer. But nevertheless, I have a record after the first singer departed, and I'm talking about Accept in this case. So yeah, after Udo left, they put out this piece of trash. No, I'm just kidding. This is more of a hair metal kind of take, I think, for Accept at this point. And it's not like Accept was always like super consistent from their early days, because their first album or two sounds like kind of hard rock, AC/DC style tracks, etc. But this one never really clicked with me. It's called Eat the Heat. And judging from the cover, I think you kind of see why Udo got booted from the band at this point with the look they're going for. Not sure who the vocalist is on this one at this point. Of course, Wolf Hoffman is still there. Vocals by David Reese. Is he? He's not the current. I have picked up with some current Accept, and the guitar work is great, but I've just never really dug it the way I like the OG stuff. This might be another reason why I never parted with it, because it's kind of banged up version, ripped cover. I would also say too, while I'm at it, I've never really listened to this one much either. And this actually has Udo on it, so this is the Russian Roulette by Accept. Maybe I should give it another listen. Just never, by this point, I think I was pretty much out of Accept, into like faster, more underground stuff. This came out in '86, and they seem to be just pumping them out. But maybe it was because in Canada we were getting a whole bunch all at once after Balls to the Wall. But like I said, never really listened to this when I was younger. Just happened across a vinyl copy. There's Udo there dressed up in military regalia. But yeah, two records that I guess I'm a little bit of a completist, but not really, because I don't really have any other except for like the last one, Humanoid, from later years. But that's number two. Number three, Goat. show your favorite new album released in 2025. So I've already done a video, my top 5 metal picks for 2025. I'm not going to show my number 1 or those picks. Maybe I'll show one from that top 5, but I'm going to show 2 records actually that should have made my top 5, but didn't because I only got them now. Only got them now in January, but this definitely would have been in my top 5. This one here, Species, really cool record. Technical thrash with a lot of progressive leanings. Bands out of Poland, Warsaw, and something I think I saw on Marty's channel, probably recommended in their year-end. It seemed to have made a couple of year-end lists, and it's on $20 spin, so it's pretty accessible or available. Also pretty wacky, funny picture of the band on the back with their Hawaiian shirts. So yeah, Species, I recommend it. I didn't think I would like it as much as I do. It's very Voivod-esque, a lot of Voivod influence, and like the more progressive side of Voivod that I don't tend to listen to. I'm not really a big prog metal guy, but for some reason this one scratches the itch. Just cool songs. The way that they're written and stuff is very Voivod-esque, and also the vocals sound very Voivod-esque to me as well. So it's the second album by Species, but I think I'm on the hunt now for the first one too. It's that good. Speaking of good, also from 2025, this one I gotta give a shout out for this. Not sure who showed this one in the VC. Again, probably on Marty's channel that I saw it. Maybe it was Rick. This is shout out also to Quebec, Canada. This is pretty much a solo artist, like a one-man project. Here it is with the bass in the back. How do you say the name? This is going to be the tricky part of the video. Zycridus, La Grande Heresy is the name of the album. Definitely recommend. What do they say on the Bandcamp? It says, for fans of Running Wild, Manowar, Varathon, and Rotting Christ. So I guess you're getting a little bit of power metal mixed with black metal, mixed with some death. Yeah, I hear lots of different stuff going on. And I think that's what brings me back to this record over and over again. Since I got it, I've been playing it nonstop. Just a lot of different sounds, kind of goes deep, and seem to hear something a little different each time. So yeah, fun record. Definitely would have made my top 5. And I'll also give a shout out to this record, which was in my top 5, The New Corner, which was bashed about a little bit at first, especially even by people like me looking for that like early Corner RIP sound. This is definitely not that. This is more of a almost post-metal at this point. Dissonance Theory. Also this one I did not show. Have to show it now. I had this, but I didn't have it on me for my top 5 video. But yeah, Sacrifice's latest record, Volume 6. You got to give props to the OGs of thrash as well. Anyway, moving on. Spent a lot of time on that goat. There was a lot of goats for 2025. How about that? Number 4 is From Beyond. Oh, let's show a best record that's not metal now. So for a non-metal pick, I'm going to go electronic for this one. I also did a top 5 electronic records for 2025, so check that out if you're into more electronic sounds, techno, drum and bass, IDM, which, by the way, this record covers some of those vibes for sure. Xenia Reaper is the name of the artist, and it's called Nept Polarization. And they probably have never been mentioned before in the company of some of the death metal and underground metal I'm mentioning in this video, but man, it's a cool record. I've been listening to this a lot since I picked it up. Picked it up on our trip to Asia, our travels to Asia. Got it in Osaka at a record shop, and been playing it ever since. 9 tracks in total. It's on Delson Records out of Netherlands, distributed by Clone, and that label is really great for quality electronic music. It's got some ambient vibes to it, but then it picks up really fast with some fast tempo breakbeats, IDM, cool sounds. Definitely a good palate cleanser, if you will, from some of the heavier stuff in this list. Number 5 is going to be The Unknown, a show and album that you can't remember ever hearing someone talk about on YouTube. Well, that record is what's playing in the background right now. I don't think I've ever seen anybody show this record before. Be careful nothing falls out, because I got a big heavy booklet in here, actually. Name of the band is Embalm. This got reissued, couple years ago on 20 Buck Spin again, but a joint release between 20 Buck Spin and Hospital Productions, which is really good experimental techno industrial label out of New York, run by Vatican Shadow. But this is all death metal from the 90s, US based band. I think they're from Wisconsin. It's pretty much a compilation of 1997 demos and bonus tracks. Compilation, very heavy chugging. I don't know if you guys hear it in the background or not, but deep vocal and the occasional higher pitch scream. Cavernous chugging riffs, bassy sound that you love from the 90s. So this is just a killer record. I also got the CD as well when it was reissued. I think I don't know how I came across it. I think it was just like a random pick even. I think I prefer this logo embalm over this one, but they're both out there. So yeah, this booklet is pretty chock full of cool shit here too. Got this. You got like their demos. I have to say, when I first looking through the booklet, I almost thought like it was like a made-up band because you could like just create demos and flyers. Not sure how many of us were going to shows in 1997 in Wisconsin, but here they are. They're playing with opening up with Nile and Incantation on that bill, and pictures of the band there. Just killer stuff. A little bit of a punk energy to it as well, I find, but yeah. It's called Prelude to Obscurity, and it's quite obscure. So maybe that's why it's never been mentioned much in the VC or in the metal VC. What does the hype sticker says? Torn by the thorns of pain, the obscure brutality of the 90s Midwest is resurrected once more. Support brutal music. So there you go. Embalm. That was The Unknown. Now, front loaded. I'm going to show a couple of records that the first song, the opening track, is really the biggest track on the album, or the track that I listen to the most on the album. So the first one that came to mind for that was a band from Toronto from the 80s that I've been loving since I first heard it. Sudden Impact. The album's called No Rest for the Wicked. Also a record I don't see too often in the VC, including the metal VC, but great thrash from like 1985. This one's on Fringe Product, which is out of Toronto. I think the band is out of Toronto. Only had like one other album after this, not as good as this one. But yeah, side one, first track, Keep On Truckin', is definitely the jam that I always go back to. But the other tracks are really good too, but man, I just, what a killer opener for that album. Very hooky, very, very catchy. Also quite catchy, I was going to mention this album by Cryptic Slaughter and Money Talks, which also opens up the album. So, you know, here you go. Title Cut by Cryptic Slaughter is a banger. Full album's good, but that one just, that's a total earworm that gets in your mind and won't get out. Encore next is number 7. Show an album that should have been a little longer. Could have been longer. So for this one, I don't know if it's like a cheat or not, but I'll show a couple EPs that probably could have been extended. I do love EPs, and I'm a big fan of short songs. So yeah, short is better sometimes when it comes to metal and extreme music, and this record actually was originally an EP. So this one has actually been rectified into a full length, but I could have even included I could have used a couple more songs even for this classic masterpiece. Celtic Frost debut, Morbid Tales. Yeah, so the original European pressing is technically an EP because it's missing 2 tracks that were added later to the pressing. This is a much later reissue, 2005, but originally this came out in 84. So I think Dethroned Emperor and Morbid Tales maybe are not on the original. There's 2 tracks inside one that are not on the original EP that were added later, but man, Into the Crypt of Rays, Are You Morbid? Are We Morbid? Yeah, this is a classic, bar none. Of course, they went on to experiment with some other subgenres and styles to varying degrees of success, but not for a couple of releases anyway. Like I said, if we get a whole other Morbid Tales album, I would have picked it up. I'm gonna turn this down a little. Hopefully, my video is not going to get struck from the music playing in the background for copyright. Um, Also wanted to give a shout out to this record, which is so classic as well. Destruction's first EP, Sentence of Death. Huge Destruction fan, especially the early stuff. Would have loved a few more tracks on this, make it a full length album. Why not? The next record is good though as well. So yeah, this is only 5 songs, 6 songs on this thing, including an intro. I finally hunted down an OG copy of this in recent times. So that's Destruction. Next up, Fail. So we've been talking about the good stuff. Now let's talk about the bad stuff. An album that kind of disappointed me. And this is a record I've tried twice now, on CD. Didn't invest in the vinyl, thank God. But it's not exactly a metal release anyway. The Gathering, Nighttime Birds. I guess it's more like a goth rock kind of vibe to it. And it has been shown before in videos. I decided to give it a try twice, like I'm saying. The first time I didn't like it, sold it, found another used cheap copy, trying to give it another chance. I don't know if this is going to be the one. Number 9 is The Return. How about an album that you pulled off the shelf again? They hadn't played in a year. And for me, a band I've already mentioned is going to be Destruction's Diabolical record. Yeah, so Destruction came out with a new one this past year, which I panned somewhat. I just didn't really click with me. I don't know, maybe I'm getting a little bit of Destruction fatigue at this point in terms of like the later stuff, the modern production, all that kind of thing. But I want to do a comparison with the last one that they had put out, this being in 2022. 2022 on Napalm Records. And ended up liking this one more than last year's. I didn't place last year's in my top 5. I don't think it would even be in my top 10. But this one, I think the songs are a little catchier, a little bit more memorable. And I have to say, I am a sucker for a good GBH cover as well. So they got a cover of City Baby Attacked by Rats at the end of it. So that worked for me. Not a bad listen. Maybe the newer one will also grow on me. I'm going to revisit that in a year's time as well. See how that works out. Next up is number 10, The Joker. So this is a funny or maybe sad album covers from the collection, metal collection, and show an album with a hilarious cover art. So I decided to go with this one this time. It's actually something I picked up this year or last year now. Rogue Male, First Visit. Obviously very Terminator influenced on this cover. And if this cover just screams like 1980s thrash to me. If that front doesn't, then the back also maybe a little bit. Looks like something like you'd find from Nuclear Assault or something. But yeah, it's pretty good actually. It's on Elektra / Music for Nation, I guess, in Europe. Not a bad little find. I was going to show, of course, my OG was it Fate's Warning record, but I decided to go with the Rogue Male for this time for slightly funny cover. Next up, we got Evolution. Or no, sorry, I'm jumping around here. Number 11 is Yearning. Name a potential album release you're anxiously awaiting for in 2026. So I don't know if I would say anxiously awaiting for anything. I tend to be looking more for like older stuff, OG copies, obscure things I never heard of before in my life that I'm picking up. So in 2026, we've already had a couple of big ones come out. The new Megadeth, which I'm not sure I'm going to pick that up because it's a little bit on the commercial side, and I've never been a huge fan of Megadeth or Dave's voice, for example. I do appreciate the guitar riffs and licks, but that's about it. The new Creator is out, so I may pick that up. That one I might give a chance. I didn't like the last one. I found the lyrics and songs a little just too cheesy or corny. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with those ones. What else is coming? Oh, maybe an Anthrax album. I'm not the hugest Anthrax fan either, other than like the first Fistful of Metal and maybe a bit of Spreading the Disease. But I would like to hear. I'm curious enough to hear what they have on offer for a latest release, and they are on tour this time too. Still haven't seen them live, so they're on the bucket list. Next up is Collector Scum. So we all suffer from this Collector Scum completist. So tell us about a band that you're looking at, or a few gaps that you're looking to fill in the collection. I'm going to go with Creator, actually, speaking of which, because this past year I ended up getting my mitts on this lovely OG. Picked this up while we were in Asia, in Jakarta, of all places. Had a pretty nice copy of this on Noise Records, Noise International. Um, yeah, just total classic Creator record. I think this is like the third album, so now I kind of want to get the first two and also the fourth because I have Coma of Souls OG copy on wax. So I need to get more of the early Creator, but I really want the OGs. I don't want the reissues, just because I'm like that basically. I still have a strong feeling that the OGs sound better than reissues in general. Also, I'm not always a big fan of. I hate splatter color versions, and I'm not even a big fan of 180 gram, despite extreme weather conditions in Canada, which can make collecting vinyl a little complex at times. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, so I'm on the hunt. Would love to get Endless Pain, Pleasure to Kill, and Extreme Aggression on OG vinyl. Wouldn't mind getting some early Bauhaus on OG vinyl as well. I know they're not metal category, but that's another gap. Merciful Fate, first King Diamond album, Fatal Portrait. Would love to get that on vinyl. Saw it once at a fair around the $100 range, which maybe I should have pulled the trigger on, but passed at the time. So we'll see if it comes up again, either Canadian press or Europe press. Next up, Evolution. Talk about a band or album that you think is successfully moving a respective genre forward. You know, there's a lot of bands that are doing fusion, and sometimes the fusions of subgenres that I'm kind of new to myself because I wasn't listening to a lot of metal in the 90s or 2000s. So a lot of stuff crept up in there that I wasn't even aware of. One band I was going to show, one album I was going to show that was a favorite when it came out, this Void Ceremony record, Threads of the Unknowing, also on $20 spin again. Still a great record. I gave it another spin. Yeah, it's just got a lot of really cool, intricate complexity to what I thought was going to be just a generic death metal record. It's more of a progressive death metal record. A lot of jazzy kind of influences in this thing, just in terms of how it's played. So I think this was pushing the envelope. But that being said, their latest one, the latest one after this, I didn't quite enjoy as much and didn't end up picking it up. And I don't really like the earlier stuff by them either. So I don't know if it was just a one and done special masterpiece in their catalog, but I got to give their other stuff a chance, obviously. But this one is still really great record by Void Ceremony. I could have also mentioned maybe Holder. I think pushing the genre, the black metal genre, a little bit. Next up is 14 Told You So. Show some recommendations that impressed me enough to purchase it. Well, this happens too often actually on YouTube VC land, especially watching Marty's weekly streams. I already showed Species and this one. These were both recommendations I saw on the channel. And but I'll also mention this one too, which I just got in the mail recently. This is Eternal Darkness. Very interesting band. Talk about obscure band. So Swedish death metal band from the 90s that kind of didn't put out anything. It looks like, I don't know, just a couple demos. I think they were recorded as another name. They were under another name. So this project, beginning in the 90s, ends up putting something out later on, but they've already broken up since this came out. So this is the definition of a one and done, I guess. It's the only full length. It's a pretty cool record, though. It's definitely got Swedish death metal vibes, and I think I even saw online that it was recorded all in one room, so hence some of the murkiness of the production, which actually sounds quite good. It's also on a Singaporean label called Pulverized, so that's pretty cool. So Eternal Darkness, I'm warming up to this. The first listen I wasn't catching me that much, but I'm slowly getting into it. It's Death Doom, I should say. from Sweden. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Kind of murky. Next up is some cheese. After the good stuff, let's go to the fromage. Why don't we? Recommend a power metal album from Marty Worm to love that you think is exceptional. He's always on the hunt. Well, I don't. First of all, I don't collect a lot of power metal. I don't have a lot in my collection, aside from maybe a couple Manowar records that I don't really listen to much. So there wouldn't be really anything I could pull that Marty probably didn't already know. Probably already knows this one too, but this was the only one I could think of. How about a little Canadiana again, Anvil, and this is 13. It's heavy. It's a little funny as well. They're always a little bit funny, these guys. A little bit power metal. I mean, just look at that cover. The Anvil's always close by on the covers, right? I think probably the best song is the title track on this. 14 tracks though in total, including the bonus track called Thumb Hang as well. So there you go, Anvil. This is 13. This is something that came out in like the 2000s, 2009. There's a recommendation from Marty if he doesn't already have it. 16, 2 Minutes to Midnight. What was the last, I guess, metal album that I bought in 2025? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was traveling. We were in Asia, Southeast Asia, Japan as well, in December. And I think the last stuff that I bought was in Osaka. Last metal stuff I bought was in Osaka at the Rockstack shop. Killer shop. Highly recommend. Tiny shop, pretty much size of my record room, but chock full of like cassettes and CDs, VHSs, even vinyl, you name it. I ended up just getting cassettes that day. I got 3 cassettes to show you guys. All obscure, pretty obscure to me, but first up, Lobotomy. These guys are pretty wild speed thrash out of Malaysia. This is actually released on a Thai label, I think. So that was kind of neat, kind of an EP. Got a split of Abigail, this time splitting with Nocturnal Hell. Hell Bastards of the Underground. It's like a pretty fun split. Haven't even opened this one up yet, but big Abigail fan. And then this one, which is really sick. Haven't opened it, but did listen to it online. Necropsia, Slaves of the Magic. This is Peruvian death metal from the 90s, reissued. Comes straight out of Lima, Peru. Really cool stuff. Very grungy, sludgy production, murky production. Yeah, some killer stuff. Old school death metal there from the 90s. So 3 records, 3 cassettes that I got. And also, just before I went away on vacation, I also got this cassette in the mail too, Castle Rat. So it's not the latest one, but it's the earlier one. I've been kind of digging this too. So some cool like classic heavy metal sounds there. Next up, 17, Brain Drain. So kind of when you're getting fatigued with it all, maybe fatigued with an overload, an overdose of death metal, for example, which can definitely happen these days. What's your go-to? What always makes you excited about music again? Well, for metal, I gotta go right back to these guys. Bathory. And the debut. Yeah, I often rock Reaper or Sacrifice, Hades. Just pretty much the whole first side of this album is just total mint. And been a fan since it came out. I remember getting the cassette thinking, wow, this is some crazy, scary shit. Along with Hellhammer and Venom. And then, of course, Merciful Fate, which was a slightly different vibe, different musical style. But this is so influential, too, in terms of, like, just noisy, maybe even, like, a little bit of influence on shoegaze. I don't know. Noisy production, and I love that, like, creepy, evil voice of Kurthon. So, yeah, Bathory always gets me back in the mood. A little bit of Reaper. Next up is number 18. Only a couple more to go here, so props to anybody who has made it this far in the video. Thanks for sticking with me on this one. Number 18 is There's Waldo. So, show classic or older album that somehow you overlooked for many years, and then you've loved it ever since you first heard it. I got a lot in my collection like that for metal because, like I said, I really grew up with metal. I listened to it in the early to mid 80s. then kind of stopped listening to metal around 87, 88, got into a lot of hip hop. So completely missed out, just didn't listen to metal really at all from like the 90s to 2010. So I missed some pretty bad bands, I have to say, which is okay. But I missed a lot of really good shit too, including like 90s death metal. I had listened to like Morbid Angel a little bit and Possessed, that kind of thing, but not really into the depths of death metal or even like some of the second wave black metal too. So Dark Throne I could mention. I could mention Baphomet, which is really good. But this is also one that's kind of surprising because of my obsession with punk music as well and hardcore. Completely missed out on grindcore when it first came out, and this legendary band Napalm Death. So totally love this album. It's one of my favorite Napalm Death records, if not the best. And of course, famous in that it has two different lineups on the album. Like they were just changing lineups like crazy back in the day. So they have like, is it like two different drummers, two different everything on side one to side two. So yeah, all that early earache stuff. In fact, only discovered in recent years, in the last maybe 5-6 years. Got to see Napalm Death actually before I even owned any Napalm Death. Saw them like a few years ago, before the pandemic. Another band too that I wasn't aware of back in the day. Now this would have been in the era when I was listening to a lot of thrash metal. 85 this came out, I think. These guys are from Denmark, Artillery. So maybe we just didn't get it up in Canada. Didn't get distroed from Attic Records or Bonsai. Although I'd be kind of surprised that it wouldn't have been, but our Roadrunner. But this is a reissue, of course, on Back in Black, but would love to get the OG of that Artillery as well. 19. Hello, my name is. Talk about a video or stream you participated in 2025 that you're very proud of. Well, I did a lot of live DJ streams, so I do that often still. Call them Death Disco is kind of one of my series, playing really a mix of underground and dark genres, experimental music, industrial music, lots of metal, lots of hardcore, lots of punk, lots of stuff from the 80s. Pretty much predominantly 80s, a little bit of 90s, and then some current stuff too that just kind of fits the vibe. So I would recommend checking out some of those live streams that I do. I try to do them, well, I'd like to do them weekly, but I'm honestly so busy that often I only do them once a month, but I keep them on my channel, and YouTube also seems to let them stay on the channel as well. So that's good. And finally, we are at the last question. Number 20. A band into the glory ride. Name a band that you want to see release one more great album. Well, I could go with these guys for sure. Not that they should retire anytime soon. Barney's still belting it out, and it's still a lot of fun to see them. But I'd like to see another really good Napalm Death record. I didn't really find the last two were like that interesting or inspiring. How about Razor? One of my all-time favorite 80s thrash band from Canada. Never liked the later stuff. I mean, I would love if Sheepdog came back to Razor. To me, that is the original Razor sound. And their last album came out kind of flopped, kind of panned as well. Or last but not least, how about these guys from the 80s? I think these guys actually did put out a record sometime in the 2000s and then dropped off the face of the earth. Hallows Eve. This is a classic, Tales of Terror. I remember getting this on cassette back in the day on Metal Blade. Where are these guys at? I don't know if they're all still alive. There must be at least one member who's alive that could pump out a record or something. That'd be kind of cool. Or maybe Cryptic Slaughter could get back together and put one more out too. So that's my response to the Metal Tag 2026. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Also do a version as well if you are into metal and you want to do some of the tags. See you guys.